Chapter 13 Niuean Farewell Song.
The great and dreadful day, which all missionaries eventually have to face, was approaching for Elder Christensen. It would be great because he would get to go home, but it would also be dreadful because he would have to leave the wonderful people he loved so much. When we received word that Elder Christensen would leave on the Tofua on October 7th, our dear members and friends extended many expressions of love to him. He faithfully recorded each one in his journal. Following are a few vignettes. September 8th, 1953. Most of the people of La Kepa and Toi thought I was leaving this ship September 9th, so they gave me basket after basket as a whakalofa. The Toi people had a kai prepared for me, which was very nice: yam, hard-boiled eggs, coconuts. Some people would give me an egg, some a tomato, or a nice basket. September 23rd, 1953. It is going to be hard to leave these wonderful, simple, loving people. September 27th, 1953. This afternoon, Wilson Mo'u fixed a farewell kai for me here at the Elder's home. It was his fia to me. He broke down in tears because I was going. He wanted me to stay here. Brother Tupago broke out crying when bidding farewell to me. October 3rd, 1953. Today people came from all over the island to have a fia for me. There were about 300 that came here to dance. We had a few sports. Then about 1 o'clock everyone had a beautiful Niuean kai. After the kai came the dancing, and boy, oh boy, was it great. Each village that we teach in, 6 in all, gave an item. The dancing started at 2 p.m. and ended up at 6. I really had a day of it, and it was wonderful. I received over 100 gifts of baskets, hats, etc. The people certainly gave me a wonderful fia, one I will never forget. These thoughtful demonstrations of love and appreciation that were extended to Elder Christensen were also extended to me, as my own great and dreadful day was approaching in a couple of months. In fact, all of us missionaries were so overwhelmed by these great acts of seemingly unfeigned love that we marveled at them continually. Probably nowhere in the world is there a people like the Polynesians. They are a beautiful people because of their simple, unrelenting love. Love of life, love of each other, and of all people of goodwill, love of nature and all things beautiful, love of God, who provides so abundantly. These things we have remembered all of our lives. Elder Christensen leaves. On October 7th, 1953, Elder Christensen recorded in his journal, "The big day. I got into the lighter, waved goodbye with tears in my eyes, and out to the Tofua we went. As we left the wharf, the Niueans sang their farewell song. It was beautiful. I had a beautiful lei around my neck, and oh, it was hard to say goodbye to all my wonderful friends. I was on the rail watching until I could see Niue no more. It was sad saying goodbye to Elders Goodman, Slade, and Bailey, and old Mo'u had to cry." A 3-man team. After Elder Christensen's departure, Elder Slade, Elder Bailey, and I continued on as a 3-man team. Maintaining our previous meeting schedule in the 6 villages would be difficult, so we began to include more of our young members as helpers. We gave the priesthood to the men and boys worthy to receive it. To the women we gave assignments in the MIA, primary, and Sunday school. The people loved their callings and did well, for the most part, with their limited understanding. President Otley and the elders in the mission office had been sending us pictures, books, and manuals, English only, which helped greatly. Our hectic schedule would soon get even worse, because my great and dreadful day was fast approaching, and would occur the following month with the November ship. Final Quarterly Report of 1953. As our meetings continued, more of our investigators were coming forth to be baptized. In the final Quarterly Report of 1953, we noted that we had approximately 200 members of the church on Niue Island. What a wonderful blessing for the people. What a blessing for us missionary messengers. My time to leave approaches. As was done for Elder Christensen, The people held many beautiful farewell fiafias and meetings for me. Each was filled with expressions of love and appreciation. My heart was deeply touched by each incident. At many of the meetings, my Niuean friends would render the most beautiful music on earth by singing the Niuean farewell song. Nothing would touch my heart more or bring a lump to my throat and tears to my eyes than that seemingly celestial music. They gave me many, many wonderful gifts of whakaalofa, love, and, as always, gifts well beyond their own needs and wants. I treasure each one, and I still have them a half-century later. These gifts are beautiful things, all handmade, entwined with love and affection. I hope that one day I might be able to return these things again to them to be enshrined in a case somewhere, to remember that glorious period of so long ago. My own great and dreadful day. Boat day for November 1953 came on the 17th. The ship arrived early and was tied at mooring offshore. It was the Matua, apparently replacing the Tofua, its sister ship. This would be my passage to Suva, Fiji, where I would board an airplane bound for New Zealand. It was difficult to leave those faithful, loving people of Niue and those selfless, loyal missionaries. "Monwina e whanoga," they cried. Blessings on the voyage. And yes, Mo'u had to cry. I felt so sad to leave my loving, loyal friend and former companion. I will always remember him. As I climbed aboard the lighter to go out to the ship, all the great memories of that wonderful, rugged island began to play across my mind. I thought, what a great adventure, what a great opportunity, what a wonderful blessing. As the ship pulled away, I too was at the rail watching, with a large lump in my throat and tears in my eyes, until I could see Niue Island no more. Mutolukia. Goodbye, until we meet again. Back to New Zealand via Suva, Fiji. After 3 days on the Matua, we arrived in Suva, Fiji, where I soon boarded the airboat to Auckland, New Zealand. I stayed at the mission home during Christmas. One day while I was in the mission home on December 9th, 1953, the telephone rang, and I, being the closest, answered. It was a call to advise us that Tumaki, President Matthew Cowley of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, had died. For the next week I was privileged to watch the great Maori ritual of tongi, mourning, for Tumaki Matthew Cowley, who was so greatly loved and cherished by the Maori people. The love that the Maori people and all Polynesians demonstrated for this great apostle of the Lord was beautiful and wonderful to behold. In early January 1954, I boarded the SS Oronose, bound for San Francisco, and returned home. Some weeks later, I returned to Washington, D.C., and gave my mission report to President J. Willard Marriott and the Washington, D.C. Stake High Council.